As soon as that clock starts, your ass is mine.
When I met Justin Herbert, man, that dude is big as hell.
You know, the goal is to just keep it rolling.
But come in hype because we have a lot of things to be excited about.
All right, guys, we are back with another Bolt Insight, and we are super pumped to have the one and only Matt Overton with us. What is going on, Matt?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Doing even better now. I get to meet you, so this is awesome. So, wanted to kick it off. You and I have something in common. I was a long snapper in Pop Warner.
Okay.
So I'll just say that it's not quite the same level, but when I was in Pop Warner, I considered myself more of an upside down quarterback than a long snapper. So what does it feel like to be the upside down quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers?
Well, first, man, I'm glad your lingo and terminology is up to date with long snapping. We've used the term upside down quarterback for a long time, and it gives somebody that doesn't know what the long snapping position is, that's like the easiest way to help them wrap their mind around what you do. But yeah, man, it's awesome, man. And it's really cool that you and I have that in common. Pop Warner, you got me beat, man. I didn't long snap at Pop Warner. So that's something I haven't done.
I was not very effective. I'll say that much at least. I did it because I was the only one willing to try.
Yeah, I don't even think we had punts and field goals at Pop Warner. So that's pretty impressive, man.
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. Compliment from Matt Overton. That's my day is done. I'm good. So I wanted to kick it off. I wanted to find out a little bit more about, when you came into the league, you started with the Colts. And, Pat McAfee is just all over the place now. Is Pat as crazy as he seems when you played with him?
Yeah, I mean, he's first and foremost, the personality and the I don't want to call it the antics, but the things that you see on the show. I got to experience a lot of that. Within reason, the 5 years that he and I played together. He is an incredible talent. There is no surprise to me and many guys that got close to him at the level of success he's reached, his post-career, football-wise, going into his new media career. But the dude has always been extremely funny, very witty. I mean, his brain works a million miles a minute. And it's just so much fun to see him pursuing the dream that he really always had. And for it to come to fruition in such a short period of time, really. And we have a kick watching him and keeping up to date. And I know a lot of guys across the league, value him as a media guy. And they love the opportunity to go on his show because he's a former player. He understands the grind of it all. He understands the business side of it all. He has a lot of fun. And I think a lot of guys trust him when it comes to, being interviewed or just having that simple conversation. He's able to peel back those layers that a lot of people, reporter really can't get to. So he's been great for our sport, great for our league, and a huge advocate for, fourth down and special teams for sure, with the for the brand. And we call ourselves the Fourth Down Army. And right. So it was a lot of fun, man. I love playing with him. He's a great friend to this day. And I learned a lot from him.
That's awesome, man. So, I want to find out a little bit more about, you signed with the Chargers this year and you got you just tweeted, you got a full season for the first time in a long time. And it was so great having you. So what were your expectations coming to the Chargers and becoming a Bolt?
I mean, I was really excited. In 2019, I had a cup of coffee with the team. They signed me, I don't know what, week 11 or so. And Cole Mazza he had like an illness, elevation sickness, I think it was what it was, because that was the week of the Mexico City game.
Oh, that's right.
So they flew me out last minute to Colorado Springs. And Cole got sick from the elevation. And so they had me there just as a emergency filler if he wasn't feeling better, but Cole got to play, and so I got to meet Ty and a handful of the guys that were on the team. I mean that 2 years ago, that roster has transformed, and that's pretty consistent across the league. Badgley, when he was there, I got to meet him and work with him a little bit, and so there was some familiarity coming to the team this year. Tom Telesco and I have known each other since 2012 when he was in Indy before he became the GM of the Chargers. And I'm from California. I'm a Bay Area native, and so it was great to be back home. And honestly, I think from afar, I knew that the Chargers had a great roster. But man, when I got there, it blew my mind to see the talent that was there. I mean, of course, I've always, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and those guys that have been there for a while, Bosa. But then when you see Herbert in person, man, you're like, man, this is special. There's something good going on here. And then, the acquisitions with Corey and, some of the big free agent guys that they got this year to kind of build that roster has been great. And I was just very fortunate to be a part of the team this year and hope to be back. And it's definitely a special locker room they got going on there, and the future's bright.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was really fun to be a Charger fan this year and everything that kind of happened in the development and where we're going. And, you've had, different head coaches in your career. What was it like? Because it felt like there was this like jolt of excitement for Charger fans and Coach Staley. What was it like in the locker room for you having Coach Staley as, as your leader?
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of 2012 when I had Chuck Pagano as a first-year head coach, defensive-minded guy. Not as young as Staley, but he had that energy as like a first-time head coach, so I look back on those days in my time with Pagano and a lot of similarities between him and Staley. Staley's just a little more cutting edge and obviously a little bit younger, but man, his energy is contagious. He knows how to lead a group of men and lead that locker room. And he's really easy to buy into. He's very likable, very personable. I had a great time playing for him. And, his aggressiveness on fourth down is something that, I like it. Sometimes I wish we were kicking.
Yeah.
But I would rather be with a head coach like Coach Staley that's on the aggressive side, because he believes in our team. He believes in, Herbert in the offense. He believes in the defense. And, when we're called upon to go make those kicks or convert a fake or something like that, that fires us up as a team when we know that our head coach has our back and lives and dies by the outcome,
Yeah, well, and that's it. I didn't even think about that. Like the idea of like going forward on fourth down. There were some pretty crazy fourth down attempts this year. You're ready to go. You're ready to run back on the field. And coach is like, all right, we're going for it. Like, what was that like for you?
A little unprecedented for me, with this being my 10th year in the league. I've never been around a head coach that is so aggressive like that.
Yeah.
I played for Bruce Arians for a brief time when he was the interim head coach in Indy, and I would consider him a fairly aggressive coach when it came to those analytical decisions and whatnot. And
yeah,
but Staley took it a step further. We all look back at that Kansas City game and all that kind of stuff, and coulda, woulda, shoulda. But I mean, in the heat of it, we knew that we had to, keep the ball out of, Mahomes' hands as much as possible, convert on those fourth and shorts. And if we can steal the momentum from that game, we knew we had to do that. And unfortunately, the ball didn't go our way a couple of times, and a lesson learned. I mean, I think we learned a lot, all of us this year. It's really a young team. I mean, especially at the quarterback position and some of the key players on defense. And of course, your head coach, and even across the board coaching wise, I mean, there's a lot of younger guys that are, filling, the coordinator position for the first time, so I think this year was just an incredible feat with building the foundation for the future. And it's exciting to see what this team can do in the next year coming up.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's crazy because like you mentioned, like the Chiefs thing, like you see what they just did in the playoffs. You give them 17 seconds. If you don't just keep your foot on their throat, like you never know what's going to happen. So it's all the coulda, woulda, shouldas, but it felt like a lot of those were good decisions.
Yeah.
So I wanted to figure out kind of, in terms of the special teams, like as a Charger fan, we've been on a roller coaster over the last 20 years of special teams. And it started out, we didn't start out the best, but then as it went, there was this drastic improvement. And curious, like what, from being on the inside and being a part of week 1 to where we finished week 17, what was it like? And what did you see the kind of differences that help shape that?
Yeah. I mean, I think the coming in, playing against the Chargers for, a handful of years, I mean, quite honestly, and it's no secret. I mean, it was one of the weaknesses of the team that when I faced them, they were pretty simple in their schemes and pretty predictable. And so coming in, I knew that a lot of the guys who had been on the roster, like Ty Long, we needed to change something. And of course, it helped with a new staff coming in. Coach Swinton came in with a new philosophy and whatnot. It was good to be a part of that transition, because I've come from programs where, we're top 5 across the board on special teams. Indy was really, really good. And even in my time in Jacksonville and with the Titans, we were always a top tier special teams unit. And a lot of that went with, the experience that guys had with, having more veterans in those core groups, and having, veteran specialists, and, just having, a coach that really, or having a GM or a head coach that really pours into that phase of the game, because there's some teams that kind of neglect it. And I kind of feel like that was neglected for the Chargers for a handful of years coming into this year. So I knew that something had to change. And for me being, a new guy, I put it upon myself to kind of be that leader that, instilling the confidence and buying into the new system for the young guys, because really this is probably the youngest group that I've been around, in a long time. Our punt team, for the most part, 90% of it was 1-year guys or even rookie guys, so not a lot of experience there. And then even, the punt and kick return before we got Andre there. I mean, there was guys that just really had no experience in returning, so we were just trying to plug and play for like the first 5 or 6 weeks, and it just wasn't working. We had a young kicker, and, so we had those early struggles, right? But what a lot of fans don't realize is, you could be 32nd ranked in the league and you could be in the top 10. And really what differentiates the bottom of the barrel to the top is by like less than 2 yards. So you're talking about one big return, one, like Andre, right? When he busted that one against Denver, that return to the house put us like in the top like 5 return units, where we were in, maybe we're like in the 25th range. Gotcha. Going into that game. So it takes some time. And it takes some time for these young guys to understand the techniques and the schemes and the leverages. And because at the end of the day, a lot of these guys never played special teams in college. They were a starting linebacker, or starting receiver, so it's one of those things where when you get a core group of rookies, which we have a great core with Nick Neiman and Amon and Trey McKitty and even Drew Tranquil. He doesn't have a lot of playing time. He was hurt all last year. Having that young beast of a guy that he is, like, this core is, you keep this core for the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to emerge into one of those top special teams units year in and year out. But it just takes some time. It's all new to a lot of guys. I know myself and Ty and when Dustin came in, and even Andre when he came in, like, we took it upon ourselves to be the leaders of that group, and it paid off like late in the year. And we're making big returns and doing better in protections. And it was a spark that gave our team an advantage going into late in the season, so I was really, really proud of the way we finished the year. Unfortunately, we wish we were in the playoffs, but there's a lot to be said with where we started and where we got to come week 18. So really proud of this group, and it's going to be a great group going forward.
No, we were really excited to watch the progression, and you guys just getting better and better. And then, I'm curious, because the big thing that just recently happened was, Coach Swinton is no longer on coach of the team. So what is that like to get to where you guys were and then have to start over again with a new coordinator? Is that really hard to do, and it's going to take a while to get back up to speed, or is it just the guys and the technique and they're all getting better? There shouldn't be that much of a change.
First and foremost, man, I love playing for Coach Wynn and Coach Mayer, 2 really, really good coaches. I was a bit surprised to see what had happened, but I know the business of the NFL, and it's hard. And, I appreciate them giving me an opportunity to come in and play this year. And I know they're going to be in the league somewhere else. And we learned a lot from Coach Wynn. He did a great job with schemes, and Coach Mayer with technique and all that kind of stuff. And again, you saw the progression. And I think the guys, the core guys that are younger, it took a while. Once you start making these big plays and you see these returns happening, and you see how it really changes the outcome of the game, good or bad, the special teams phase of the game is very, very important. It's all about field position, you know. So I think this year has been a huge foundation for the special teams unit going forward. And I know there'll be some transitional things with the new coach and new coordinator and new schemes, but for the most part, it's pretty relevant across the league. There's nothing. I mean, I know quarterbacks go through new coordinators all the time, and learning a new playbook is you know, could be a big daunting task. But special teams, for the most part, you know, a lot of these guys have, you know, crossed paths as an assistant with other guys, and there's kind of like this foundational like thing about special teams where it's not too different from team to team. It's just about, you know, maybe some techniques and footwork is different and whatnot. But I think the keys going forward, having some veterans back, like, you know, Andre, hopefully myself and Ty and D Hop, and, you know, having those veteran older guys, Steven Anderson, another one coming back, we can really, you know, start from day one in OTAs and really progress through training camp and get ready for the season. So I think it's not going to be too big of a change, but it'll be interesting to see who they hire. So I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you know, you kind of talk about it briefly. It seems like, you know, you, Hopkins, and Ty have a cool kind of bond. They always posting photos of you guys going out together. Like, what's the kind of, you know, and you guys are all kind of together for the first time this year, and it felt like there was a really cool kind of bond with you guys. What is it like playing with those guys and just kind of, you know, you guys sticking together? Like, what's that like? Yeah, I mean,
it's really, really important. And even Tristan, man, throw him in there. The four of us, we were very, very close. We work all the time together, but we also spend a lot of time off the field together, which is great for just, you know, creating that bond and friendship and brotherhood. And, you know, Ty and I, you know, when I came on the team, you know, a few years ago, we hit it off pretty quickly. And so we have a lot in common with his, you know, his path to the NFL with going through the CFL, and my path going through different leagues to get to where I'm at in the league. And so we had a lot of common coming in. So I knew that coming to Ty during training camp was great. Kind of already knew him a little bit. And then Dustin and I, we've trained in the summer. We live here together in Nashville now, but getting to work with him like really, really one-on-one has been great. And just the personalities mesh really well. You know, our drive to want to be elite and be the best, and the leadership aspect of holding ourselves accountable for the team. I mean, we all kind of have that in common. So the three of us, man, and Tristan too, like helping a young kicker out and having him and seeing him grow throughout the year has been great. So I know we're all free agents and it's a crazy business. Who knows what's going to happen, but I really do hope that we get the chance to work together again, because that continuity is really important. And I love playing with those guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I want to kind of change it up a little bit. Like, I remember on social media, kind of one of my highlights of 2021 was Nan. The videos you posted of her celebrating, dancing at the games.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Nan.
Oh man. So my grandmother, man, I think she's 86 now. And she's a spitball, man. She's so energetic. She's always been my number one fan. I know my mom and my dad have been great, but my Nan is fired up. I talk to her before every game. She's been there every step of the way throughout my career. And when she gets to go to a game, I mean, she's crazy. It's almost embarrassing sometimes. And you know, when I played for the Colts, you know, we used to play the Raiders a couple of times, and we're all from the Bay Area. So my family is originally from like the Oakland area. And so we would go to Raider games. We'd be playing against the Raiders. My Nan was not afraid to walk into the Coliseum with a Colts jersey on, talking smack. I mean, it's just because it's a very hostile environment. And it's almost to the point where it's kind of dangerous. Like, I can't bring my grandmother to a game wearing the opposite colors in the stand, but she's fearless, man. And so it's been incredible to have her close to home now, because now she can drive down to the games. And man, the video of her dancing, I mean, that's her personality. She's crazy, man. And it was exciting to be able to share that with people, because, you know, she's my biggest fan. I love her so much. And, you know, she gets down in long snaps during the game. Like when I'm snapping, I mean, she's hilarious. So yeah, that's my Nan, and she's awesome. And again, it's awesome being close, because now she can come to more games and just be a crazy fan. So
I love it. I'd pay money to tailgate with her. That's for sure.
oh yeah.
Got to get her out to Thunder Alley.
Hey, we got to make that happen for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to talk a little bit about, your brand, the Stay Ready. I love it, dude. I love everything you're doing over there. So you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Stay Ready. And then I saw that you have a scholarship also associated with it.
Yeah. So, I was with the Colts from 2012 through 2016. Leading up to the Colts, I was, just to go back even further, technically my rookie year was 2007. That was when I was an undrafted free agent with the Seahawks. And it wasn't until 2012 that I made my first active roster with the Colts. So it took me 6 years roughly to play my first NFL game. I came from a small Division II school, Western Washington. I was a JUCO player. So like my path has been like, the long way around kind of thing, and so I love to share my testimony with guys, my story, because believe it or not, there's a handful of guys on every team that has that crazy story of how they got to where they're at. It's not always D1, it's not always the SEC, it's not always this, that, and the other. And so, I like to share those stories, because it inspires a lot of guys who, are striving for their dream. And it's not even just football related, it's just, life in general. And so when I got cut from Indy in 2017, and I was crushed, man. I was like, man, I didn't expect this to happen. Definitely got sideswiped. And so I went into that off season, like with the chip on my shoulder, but like just with this idea of like, man, I just need to stay ready because I know that call can come at any time. And I looked back at my time when I was on the street in 2007, when the Colts called me for a workout, and, it was because of my, preparation and my daily routine and grind that really helped me just stay ready for that opportunity that came. And so I kind of had that mindset again, and kind of stuck with me, and kind of transformed into this message and brand that I've started last year. And it's just really just the faith and the patience and the preparation behind the journey you're on to get to where you want to go and achieve your goals and dreams. And so that's kind of the mission behind it, the mission statement, the vision. But to tie that along with the scholarship you mentioned, like I mentioned, I wasn't a scholarship athlete. I went to junior college first, went to a Division II school, which hardly offered any scholarships at all. So I thought a good way to pay it forward in a little way is to help those athletes that are maybe paying their way through school, or aren't on scholarship, or just give them a little motivation and support in that regard. And so we do a little scholarship, and the proceeds from one of the Stay Ready hats we have will go straight directly to an athlete every year. And so we're gonna do one this spring leading into the summer, and we're gonna probably do a long snapper because it just goes along with the brand.
Absolutely.
Because in long snappers, a lot of them across the country aren't even on scholarship. So to be able to, maybe help them financially, whether it's getting them new gear or, paying for books or whatever the case may be, we just want to pay it forward in some regard. And so it's been fun with this brand and kind of growing it, and, making my multicolor hats for the team that I'm currently on and stuff like that. So it's just cool, man. I really enjoy doing it. And, really beyond the merchandise and the gear, it's, hosting free camps for long snappers and doing that stuff here in Nashville. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's so awesome that you're doing that. And wanted to get you out of here on this. We just interviewed Braden Fajoko, and he had mentioned that, when we're on the sidelines, the special teams guys, the specialists are pretty good at giving it back to the fans that are yelling down at the team. It's like he's mentioned specifically the Eagles game. What is the craziest stuff you've heard a fan say or do in your career in the NFL?
Oh man, there's been so much. I mean, when I played with Pat and Vinatieri, I mean, the heckling was nonstop. And it was probably the worst when we went to New England, because, even though, Vinatieri walked into, his familiar territory, man, they would boo him. The whole place would boo him when we go up for a PAT.
Oh man. And
it was like that love-hate relationship, right? I mean, of course they don't hate him because he won them 3 rings, whatever, he was the GOAT for him, so, but it's pretty interesting to be with Vinatieri. And who can talk smack to Vinatieri? No one can. I mean, it's like he's the greatest of all time. And then you got Pat, who's a loudmouth himself, who will fire back. And so there's places that are like notoriously known for. Obviously, Philly's tough. Anytime in New York, Baltimore's tough. I mean, I feel like the East Coast in general. And then you go to Oakland or now Vegas, which is nowhere near what the black hole was in Oakland. You know, Oakland was rough, man. That place was nonstop heckling.
Batteries will come flying at you.
Yeah, that place was. And being from the Bay Area, growing up, going to A's games and Raider games, like I loved it. I got to play. Play at Candlestick. I got to play at the Coliseum. I got to play at Qualcomm. So I got to play at all those old stadiums that I grew up going to, which is awesome. So like I can't really pinpoint something specifically, but I mean we can talk about Philly this year. I mean, we went in halftime and we had no idea that their halftime was going to be dedicated to like a salute to service thing with the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And, you know, specialists go in and we spend about 5 minutes in the locker room, go to the bathroom, grab a drink, grab a little snack, whatever the case may be. And we try to get on the field with like 6 or 7 minutes left before the second half starts. And it's very common. Every team does it. So we go out there like we normally do. And I come out probably a couple minutes late and Ty's out there by himself. And he's punting some balls. And the Marine Corps is doing some sort of like, they're not playing. I think they had their like, and I do not want to disrespect this ceremony at all, but they had their trumpets, but they weren't playing quite yet. They were just in formation and the stadium was kind of eerily quiet, but he's punting balls. And as I'm coming out, as soon as that ball left his foot, the whole place started booing. And I think he was a little oblivious to what was going on at the moment because he was so zoned in because we hadn't punted in this game yet. Yeah. So for Ty, he's like, man, I got to stay warm. I got to stay ready. So I walk out, boo. Another one leaves his foot, boo. And I go stand out there and I'm going to get ready to snap to him. And it just kind of clicked with me. There's this like ceremony thing going on. There's boos. And I quickly realized that when, you know, we were not supposed to be out there. And he does like 2 or 3 more times and the place just erupts. Then our coach comes out, tells us to get the F off the field. We go to the sideline, fans are throwing stuff, this, that, and the other, cursing Ty, cursing me. And I'm like, oh my God, we had no idea what was going on. So apparently they had the ceremony set up for halftime that took the entire halftime and doesn't give us specialists, even the Eagles specialists had no idea what was going on. They're like, dude, we had no idea that this was happening. And for it to happen on Salute to Service week for them, it wasn't for us, it was for that home team in Philly, primetime game. I mean, just like everything came crashing down. Ty took the brunt of it all, like social media wise and all that kind of stuff. But like even like the second half, the stands kind of came close to our sideline. So the fans were kind of right on top of us. So when we were in between their cheerleaders and the bench or the stands. So we were like in this tight, narrow sideline where we warm up and stuff like that. And like fans were throwing stuff at Ty, throwing stuff down on us. And man, he didn't hear the end of it. And so that's probably the craziest story. And it was something that's wild. I've never experienced. So from then on, like Ty and I made sure like, hey, what's the halftime situation this weekend? Because we are not going through this again. It's funny too, because even when we go out to warm up at home or even any other game in general, like you kind of have a feeling like when the national anthem is going to start. Yeah. And sometimes it happens sooner than later because of if it's a televised game nationally or something like that. I swear we'll be warming up and I'll snap a ball and Ty just runs off the field because he sees that, you know, they're about to start nationally. He's like, listen, dude, I am not going to put myself through the hell I just endured in Philadelphia again. I'm never going to be labeled as disrespecting the military. So his awareness level is through the roof now because, you know, we're not going to be on the field. We're not going to be doing anything that's not paying respect or attention to the national anthem or anything military first responder based. So Yeah, that's probably the crazy. It has to be because I've never experienced that, and I know Ty will never forget it either.
Well, they're gonna have to get you guys like a racquetball court inside the locker room, so you can just go in there and just whack the shit out of balls, snap. You know, you don't even have to go out on the field.
I know, man. They need to do something. They even changed the rules. They changed the rules now because now we can't disrupt any halftime. You know, even if it's like dogs kissing frisbees, we can't go out there at all. And well, and I remember back in the day, like with McAfee, like when you go play like Green Bay, they typically have like the University of Wisconsin band is like 100-member band.
A lot of people.
The entire field.
Yeah.
We go out there and try to warm up. And I remember one game we were at home and there was a band that took up the entire field. I think it was like Purdue University or something like that. And he was punting and he shanked one and it went right into the procession, like hit somebody, like bass or drum or snare, whatever. He hit somebody.
Oh no.
That parent of that band member wrote a letter to Jim Irsay and upper management to the Colts complaining about how we completely disrespected the band and all that they'd worked for and that we should be punished for this and all that kind of stuff. So we're just trying to warm up. It's a football game. We're just trying to get our reps in because sometimes they're limited in the game. So yeah, we get the rough end of the stick on that kind of stuff when it comes to us taking the field and warming up. So never a dull moment for special teams, man.
Right. Well, you guys will be the experts of halftime shows and what's happening throughout the league, and you'll be ready to go for next year.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So, all right, Matt. Well, thank you so much for your time, man. It was an absolute pleasure meeting you and picking your brain. So thank you.
Yeah, anytime. I appreciate you guys and hope to be back. Bolt up, man.
Let's do it. Bolt
all
up.
Right, bro. See you, man.
See ya.